everyone, it's Maddie.
And B, and today we're going to be doing another read in one sitting challenge.
It has been a whole year since our last one.
A year since we've done it, and a good 5 months since I've even read a book, so...
Why not set us the challenge of trying to read one in one go? Because that's the thing, I have done a bit of reading and probably started about 5 books, but I only got 50 pages through them. So if I'm forced to finish it, then I will actually read a book.
Bold of us to assume we have the attention span.
Exactly, but my phone is dead and I'll keep it that way. I will be choosing for B a book that she can read in one sitting. She's got quite a few short ones on this list, so let me pick out some options, because then maybe you could choose between. Okay, so shortest. This was a really fun read for me. There's Packed So Tightly On. The End of the World as We Know It. I think this has like a TV show pace, so that would be good for you. Let me just take a quick gander at the font and page count of this one. It's only 300 pages. Though I think it is quite a slow read.
It's like lyrical.
This one's under 300 pages.
Oh, well.
So this could very much
Hello,
be
my
in the
next
running.
read then.
I just want to see if it's on, like, on these shelves.
On these, yeah. Are you like avoiding the thrillers because you want to do like a thriller-a-thon? Okay.
You haven't really got many short ones on there, to be fair. Like, you've got Signs Point to Yes, but I think for the first book that you've read in 4 months, maybe that isn't the one to go for. I kind of want to force you to read maybe Scarlett Epstein. It looks short.
This is 280 pages.
Okay, that's short. Yeah, I could read
this
that
one. You're just gonna read this. I know you're gonna get choices. You have to read this one.
Okay then.
I'll just put them behind my back and then like randomly pick one, shall I?
Okay.
Because like I'm really ambivalent towards which one it is. I just want to read something, and I don't know these books well enough. So left or right?
Left.
My left or your left?
Your left.
I'm gonna read the end.
I kind of wanted you to read the other one, because I haven't read that one as recently.
Tomfoolery. We've decided to start doing this video at 4:10, so the lighting's only going to get worse. You're welcome.
That's the tradition of this video.
Yeah, it
for
is.
it to be really,
don't
really dark.
Not high quality stuff here.
Yeah, exactly 280.
Oh, mine's only 280 as well, so they're identical lengths.
Excellent.
Right, well, I'm not saying it's a race, but I'm also not saying it's not
The competitive spirit could be good for us.
Also, basically everything I've done has had music in the background before, so I don't know whether I'm a music reader now. I know, look at that great big font.
And like some text messaging. I'm excited for this.
You should be. I loved that book. This book has had 3 openings, and I can just feel my eye twitching at like, why is this happening? First one is represented by present day, and it's this dinosaur dream that she's having, which is basically just a further and extended metaphor in the next beginning about dinosaurs. And it kind of starts with her like waking up from the dream, and then by the sounds of it, she's going to start penning her memoirs, and then it goes into said memoirs, and then finally we're getting into what I hope will be the meat and potatoes of the story, where it starts with the first person narration of like she's going to go through all of the different artifacts that quantify her breakup. So the setup for the first chapter is essentially that the show Scarlett worships has just finished and it didn't get a satisfying finale. So she's going on her forum and talking to her fellow fans about what they're going to do about it. I feel like the whole setting of fandom is really well drawn just in the first chapter. There are so many unique instances that exist within a fandom culture of the types of fanfiction that's written, how Tumblr pages are, and describing scenes in the show that would be so obviously loved by fans. It all feels hyper realistic at the moment. It's almost freaking me out. As if I could just go on AO3 and look for the fanfiction myself. I just read an entire chapter that was devoted to telling you a backstory behind Scarlett and Gideon's friendship. Even though they're not friends anymore, they were close when they were beginning high school or in middle school. I really liked that the book wasn't afraid to stay in that flashback for a really long time, even though it was only a couple of chapters in, so probably halted the structure of the whole novel. Getting that kind of backstory I really appreciated, and I feel like I'm looking at this from a writing standpoint because I'm really scared to give information about a character's life that isn't directly relevant to what's happening to them now. So seeing it here like this was really good for me. I'm now 50 pages through my book, which I think deserves a little round of applause, a bit of achievement. I'm very pleased. That's the most I've read in one sitting in a very long time, so we'll see if I can get through the whole book. So far it's mostly just been introduction chapters. The point is that the main character Penelope has 2 friends, Ephraim and Audrey, and they seem to be breaking up with her a little bit. Unlike her, they are not quite as satisfied just working as a trio anymore, so they want to go out, expand their social circles, and I think they're both interested in dating as well. Not each other, but that is taking them away from Penelope because she doesn't have a date and she doesn't really seem to be interested in putting herself out there. I am definitely not here for a narrative where the main character is like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend. Like, ew. The last chapter was an incredibly like overlong scene potentially between Penelope, Ephraim and each set of their parents having a dinner conversation about a dinosaur heart. Their parents both work at a museum, and it felt like in a movie that kind of scene would be cut, and I don't know how it pushed the story forward. It's kind of upsetting me that my knowledge of craft, or just because I'm thinking so heavily about the structure of writing, that I'm finding it difficult to lose myself to the story. Now I'm 60 pages through, and the next couple of chapters were actually her giving more backstory to a elderly friend that she has and her mother, so it's leaving me a little lost for what's happening in the present moment because we keep going back so much. So I'm hoping that once we get past the 100-page mark, it's clear what the plot is, because at the moment I don't know what Scarlett's doing besides mourning the fact that her favourite TV show is over. It turns out that the best friend that she was describing in the first couple of chapters is now dating the sister of her current best friend, and she tried to reconnect with him, but he kind of rejected her. Seems like regular high school drama to me. Let's see what the conflict will be. At the moment I'm finding my main character to be a little bit hypocritical. She's sat home whining about how she isn't doing any things with her friends and her friends are moving on without her, taking new experiences and having fun at parties. But it's not like she doesn't get invites to those things. She chooses to stay home. But then as soon as the boy comes along and invites her to a party, she's like, yes, I'll go to that. And it's like, why won't you go to a party with your friends so that they can have fun with you? She's begging her friend to go to a party with her when she said no to going to a party with him the previous chapter. So it's like she only wants things if they go her way, but she's more than happy to have this self-indulgent moan about how sad and lonely she is and how it's bad that her friends are pulling away from her. So I really hope that at some point the character development is that she has this realization moment that she can't just expect things to happen for her, and that she has to actively do things with her friends rather than just wait for them to love her. This is a good line. She's talking about her best friend. I realised that something terrible had unfurled, that mere seconds ago I had lived in a world where I didn't know Audrey could hurt me, that now I lived in a world where I did. It's like, I knew this was a book about her breaking up with her best friend, and now the main character's just caught up on page 100. I kind of like that it's about a friendship breaking down rather than a boyfriend and girlfriend like I was expecting.
I'm finding mine quite dense though, like it's wordy.
Yeah, so is mine, but I forgot that that's one of the joys of reading quickly, is like, you take in the words. Well, I wouldn't say I'm skimming per se, but like, because I've got a handle on what the character's voice is now, I can like predict what she's going to say, what her emotions are going to be. So I don't know, I'm just skimming over like the whining. Look, in the fight Penelope has with Audrey, she accuses her of thinking that she's pathetic, and then a couple of pages later she says, I wish you weren't friends with Shreese. I wish you'd just pick me. I immediately wanted to take it back. I hated how pathetic I sounded. It's like, are you pathetic or not? The plot has turned into Scarlett writing a fanfiction that I think is based on a subplot of one of the episodes of her favourite TV show, which uses the names of her peers. It's very weird. We had to stay in her writing for quite a long time, and I wonder how much it will feature in the rest of the book. It's an interesting discussion for the fanfic writers to think that they should branch out into something more original, and how they're struggling with that because they're so used to writing about characters that are already fully formed. I've made it past the 100-page mark, yay! Although I'm definitely feeling the need to take a break. My brain has had enough of reading. So her fanfiction is essentially a self-insert where she has Gideon with Ashley, who she's turned into a sex robot. Not sure how I feel about the feminism behind that. Her fanfic friends want Gideon and Ashbot to get together, and for Ashbot to be more than just a robot and, like, I don't know, for her to humanise her a bit more. And Scarlett really doesn't want to. She's like, no, they're not going to end up together and they're not an OTP. I guess she's just waiting until she introduces her equivalent character to get together with Gideon. It's all really messy, and the reason why you shouldn't write self-insert. But I also feel like not enough of the present moment has happened, and I'd just really like a sense of what her purpose is. Like, I know she wants to get with Gideon, but she's not really doing anything about that, apart from passively aggressively writing a fanfiction. It's funny to be reading this book now, because I feel if I'd read it when I was 16, I would have really related to the main character. I think I see a lot of myself in her, which is probably why I'm a little bit disgusted by her at times, because I'm just like, don't act like that around your friends, you're gonna make mistakes. But I think that's just the foresight of being almost 23 and looking at a 17-year-old's choices and thinking, what are you doing? So that's only natural, and I'm not going to say that the character's bad because she has flaws, because she needs them. But I think the way that she treats her friends, I think if she stepped outside of herself, the fact that she is so selfish is kind of annoying that she doesn't even have the foresight to think, maybe I should listen to my friends and what they're saying about this guy being bad for me. Essentially, her friend Audrey has said she shouldn't be with this guy because she's heard some bad things, and then Penelope takes it like, you don't think I'm good enough for him? Which is nowhere near what she said, but I can see how in the height of the moment she would have interpreted it that way. And now she's going on dates with this guy who has already had to ask her name once and only calls her Scout, which I think is because he still can't remember her name. So I'm not getting good vibes from this guy either, but she's just so blinded by her desire to have this love that I don't think she can see that right now.
So we've reached a part in the book at the 150 page mark. Scarlett has realised that the characters she's writing, specifically her self-insert character, is a Mary Sue.
I struggle to believe that she didn't know that the character she was writing as herself was perfect and the best version of herself that she could be to get Gideon's attention. I think it's one of those classic cases that turns up in a lot of TV shows where even if you use a trope, berating that trope in the dialogue doesn't actually affect the fact that you still used it.
Does your character have the same name as you or a name that's a variant of yours? Oh god damn it, like why is she acting surprised by this? I thought that was the point. It's kind of taken away the strength of it to have her be like, what? I wrote myself into it.
I've got 100 pages left of the book, and I should probably mention that the people she's sharing her fanfic with are her internet friends, who I guess don't really know about her real life. The handle she goes by is Scarface, so maybe they don't even know that her name's Scarlett, or indeed what her crush's name is, and how relevant that is to her story. So maybe I could give some leeway there, but still, it is a little far-fetched. We finally got to some clear plot. Scarlett's dad is a writer, and he's published a book that's based on his relationship with Scarlett's mum, and he's written about a teenage girl character. It's not very favourable, so he tries to tell Scarlett that it's not meant to be her, but she doesn't really listen, and then when she actually reads what he's written, she's really hurt by it. And so she fled that scenario only to walk into something with her best friend, who's just told her that Ashley and Gideon have now seen her self-insert story with them as the main characters. I'm already grimacing about it, and it hasn't even got bad yet. Okay, so her best friend kissed her because she didn't want her first kiss to be with the guy she likes, Keats. And then she got a little bit weird about the kiss, like I think she's developing feelings for him. But then, oh god, she just said the most cringiest, angsty line of dialogue ever, where she is cutting class to be with Keats, and Ephraim like calls her out on it. It's like, that's not very you. And she says, well, maybe you don't know me so well after all. I think I rolled my eyes so hard I almost lost them in the back of my head. Oh yikes, Scarlett has come off as the worst person possible in this situation. I feel no sympathy for her at all. She has messed with Gideon, made him feel like he owes her something, obviously not been very upright about how she feels towards him, and then poor Ashley, who was characterised as this robot, is now having a breakdown over her personality and how she feels inferior to Scarlett because she has to kind of perpetuate the fact that she's stupid around her. And I'm 100% on Ashley's side. Like, Scarlett has no rights at this point. Scarlett essentially has to face how she's characterised Ashley and how that's affected her. They have this weird relationship in real life where Scarlett is best friends with Ashley's sister Avery. She now feels weird around her own sister, as if Avery also believes what Scarlett believes about her. It's such a complex way to see a quote-unquote mean girl of the story.
So for 2 pages, Ashley absolutely goes off at Scarlett, and it culminates in what is possibly the best put down of keep pretending I'm the dumb, mean, hot girl and you're some weird, ugly outcast nobody likes if you really need to feel like you're better than me. Ashley is just so done with it and I love it.
So I just finished reading The Museum of Heartbreak and it's time to give a wrap up on my thoughts. So unfortunately it ended exactly as I hoped it wouldn't, with her in a relationship with her best male friend that she'd had since she was a kid. I don't like this for many reasons, but mostly because it just perpetuates the idea that boys and girls can't be just friends. And like, why can't the intimacy of knowing someone for a really long time not translate into a romantic relationship? So I didn't like that element of the friendship side of the story, but I did really appreciate the relationship she had with Audrey. The fact they realised they couldn't be as close as they were like halfway through the book, and then kind of like broke off friends, didn't really talk to each other, and then at the end they came to the decision that if they're going to be friends, things will have to change. And Penelope said that she couldn't be friends with Audrey's other friends for various plot reasons, and I thought that was good too. Like, sometimes your friends don't get along with each other and you are under no obligation to like anyone more than your original friend group. Like, you can't get on with everyone, you can't force people to like you can't change people's opinions if they're set in their ways. The thing is, I didn't really feel like it was too much of a break though that she no longer had this friend in Audrey, because she ended up making loads of friends with the literary society, and so it was like she'd already replaced her, like found all of these new people that she vibed with better anyway, so it didn't seem like too much of a loss. But that's fine, because I think that just demonstrates life. You really can be friends with someone for like 13 years and then suddenly realize that the only thing keeping you together was convenience. And when you start becoming different people, it's like, do you really connect anymore? And I don't think that's necessarily explored as much as I would like it to be. I wish there were so many more dynamics of friendships demonstrated in young adult books. So if you have any friendship-based stories, please leave recommendations in the comments. I'd love to know. I felt like the ending was potentially a little bit rushed, and I wasn't necessarily convinced by the whole setup of it going through these museum pieces. Like, I think that was really quirky and cool, but it wasn't quite like played up as much until the very end. I think it taught me a lot about what I like and what I don't like, and how my reading tastes have changed as I've gotten older too, because when I was 17 I probably would have really liked this, but now that I'm almost 23, 5 years difference is a huge difference, so you connect to characters in different ways. That's not to say obviously that you can't relate to a 17-year-old when you're older, but I think you just reflect more. Now I get the best bit about finishing a book, and that's picking the next one.
Now I'm finished with the book, and it tried to do a lot in the ending, let's say that. So Scarlett obviously has to be redeemed, even though she has turned out to be the villain of the story, definitely in how she treated Ashley. So in the next chapter, after the reveal of her fanfiction coming to light, her elderly neighbour and second best friend has died, and she didn't know about it, so she now has to use that death as an opportunity to be a better person and closer examine the relationship she has with high school and the popularity system, and how she's accidentally used that to add too much value to her own identity. I feel like the ending gave a little bit too much to Scarlett, particularly in her relationship with Gideon. Like, he comes over and she apologises for writing about him, and then he does forgive her really easily and they still get together. There is this moment as well where Scarlett has some kind of self-awareness where she comes on Ashley's side, because if you think about it, Gideon was a little bit stupid, knowing that he wanted to be with Scarlett but still in a relationship with Ashley, essentially emotionally cheating on her at some points. And I was proud of Scarlett for calling that out. She also comes to the conclusion that her dad is a bad person and that it's her mum that's always wanted the best for her, even though, again, she's always seen her mum through a very judgmental, like, single mother poverty lens. So Scarlett has definitely been on a journey by the end of the book. I just wish that the implementation of that character arc could have been a bit more throughout the story rather than just dumped at the end. So by the end, I'd say that this is a 3-star read for me. I definitely didn't like it as much as B did, but that's not to say that there weren't enjoyable elements. Like, I really enjoyed the fandom culture of the whole thing, and although Scarlett was so caught up in her high school label, I feel like her personality was quite relatable. Ashley's character really saved this book for me. I really loved the angle of the popular girl calling out the nerdy girl for giving them those labels and perpetuating them when really they're all victims to popularity regardless of where you are on the social scale. That's not all that matters, and Ashley proved herself to just be more than that person, even though Scarlett wasn't willing to see her that way. There is a redemption for Ashbot's character as well. The final chapter of the book is another insert of Scarlett's story, so maybe that had more resolution than Scarlett's narrative itself. And that's the end of the video, because we completely forgot to film an ending, probably because we're so out of sync with this. Thank you everyone so much for watching us reading our first books after our reading slump. It's really exciting and it's definitely inspired me to want to read more. Let us know what you're currently reading in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Can you be like close to the end of your book? For this staging, this reenactment.